Death Valley National Park spans over 3.4 million acres, making it the largest national park in the contiguous United States. It's not just heat and desert. There are colorful canyons, marble-like salt flats, golden dunes, volcanic craters, and even ghost towns. It also has some of the clearest night skies in the country. It's officially designated as a dark sky park, and which means stargazing here is unforgettable. Now, let us find out how to get to Death Valley. You probably already know that Death Valley is remote, but that's part of its magic. Just be aware that there are no commercial airports inside the park. The closest major airports are the Harry Reid International Airport in Las Vegas, Nevada. It is a little over 2 hours' drive from Furnace Creek. The Los Angeles International Airport in California, which is a bit short of 5 hours' drive to the park. There is also the Hollywood Burbank Airport, which is about a 4-hour drive to Death Valley. The most practical option is to fly into Las Vegas and rent a car. Then you drive into the park. That is the best option, especially since there is no public transportation or rideshare inside the park. Now that we have established that you need a personal vehicle or a rental car to get to Death Valley, then the next thing is fuel. Gas stations are limited inside the park, so having a full tank before entering is a must. EV charging stations are questionable at best inside the park. Death Valley is large, huge. It is about 1,000 miles of road. So, distances between attractions can be long. However, roads to major attractions are paved and accessible by standard vehicles. Some backcountry roads may require high clearance, but everything on this itinerary is two-wheel drive friendly, so it is advisable to plan for drive time. Now, this is not a park where you park your car once and walk everywhere. The best time to visit Death Valley National Park is late November through March. This is the sweet spot. Daytime temperatures range from 60 degrees to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Perfect for hiking and exploring. If you visit between mid-March and April, you might even catch wildflowers after a rainy winter. Avoid June through September unless you are extremely experienced in desert travel. Temperatures often exceed 115 degrees Fahrenheit. October and April are shoulder seasons. Warm but manageable if you explore early mornings and late afternoons. If this kind of practical travel planning helps you, take a second to like the video. It really helps more people find content like this. Next, let us talk about what to pack. Packing for Death Valley isn't about fashion. It's about survival comfort. The essentials are wide brim hat, UV sunglasses, SPF 50+ sunscreen, lip balm with SPF, 2 to 3 liters of water per person per day minimum, lightweight breathable clothing, light jacket for mornings, closed hiking shoes, portable power bank, a printed map because GPS can fail, optional but smart, a cooling towel, a headlamp for sunrise, a mirror, a whistle, and a tripod for stargazing. There is very limited cell service throughout the park, so download offline maps before you go. And definitely the Death Valley section of the NPS Gov app. For more info, check out my 10 National Park Essentials video, linked above and in the description below. Now, let us go over the 3-day detailed itinerary. We start day 1 with a visit to the park's iconic landscapes. Our first stop is watching the sunrise at Zabriskie Point, which is about a 5-minute drive from Furnace Creek. Zabriskie Point sits about 5 feet, slightly below sea level. This is one of the most famous viewpoints in Death Valley, where ancient lakebed sediments uplifted and eroded over millions of years into these dramatic golden ridges. The light at sunrise transforms the entire landscape into shades of gold and orange. Makes it one of the most photographed scenes in the park. Zabriskie Point is a short paved walk from the parking lot, about 5-10 minutes. There's also a longer trail if you want to explore deeper. Keep in mind there's no shade at all, and it can get windy early in the morning. Also, avoid what most people do. They show up after sunrise and miss the best light. so plan to arrive at least 20-30 minutes before sunrise. Zabriskie Point looks almost like another planet. No wonder it was used as a filming location for Star Wars. All right, once you've taken in the sunrise at Zabriskie Point, let us head to one of the most iconic spots in the park. Badwater Basin is about 18 miles from here, roughly a 25 to 30-minute drive. As you leave Zabriskie Point, you'll pass through Furnace Creek, which is actually a great place to make a quick stop if you need restrooms, water, or snacks, because once you head further south, services become very limited. As you drive, notice how the landscape gradually opens up. The mountains pull back, and the valley floor becomes wider and flatter, slowly revealing just how massive the park really is. You'll likely want to stop for photos along the way. Once you arrive, this place will completely shift your sense of scale. Badwater Basin is the lowest point in North America at an elevation of 282 feet below sea level. You're standing below sea level, surrounded by mountains. The salt flats stretch for miles, and the geometric patterns form as groundwater evaporates, leaving behind minerals. Walking out onto the flats can feel short, but it adds up quickly. Also, don't walk barefoot. The salt can be sharp, and the salt crust can break in spots. Keep walking a bit more. The best patterns are farther out, about a 10-15-minute walk. Now, if you look up at the cliffs behind you, you'll see a small sign marking sea level far above your head. That contrast is unforgettable. After exploring Badwater Basin, we drive along Badwater Road for about 10 minutes to one of the most colorful spots in Death Valley. Artist's Palette is a short scenic drive loop just off the main road. This is where the desert changes. From white salt flats to hills painted in greens, purples, and pinks, this is one of the most colorful places in the park, caused by oxidized metals like iron and copper in the soil. No major hiking required, it is mostly short walks from roadside pullouts. Try not to drive through too quickly. Stop, get out, and let your eyes adjust. The colors become more vivid the longer you look. The best time to visit is late afternoon when the light brings out the colors. It really does look like an artist's palette. From Artist's Palette, it's just about 5 minutes drive to the next stop. This is one of the most unusual landscapes in the park. Devil's Golf Course looks harsh, jagged salt formations that look almost alien, shaped by repeated cycles of flooding and evaporation. It's a quick stop, but definitely worth seeing. It is not really a hiking area. The terrain is extremely rough and sharp. Watch your footing carefully. The salt formations are hard and can easily cut through shoes or skin. Now the second day. We're starting day 2 early. From Furnace Creek, it's about a 30-minute drive north to Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes. This is one of the best places in the park for sunrise, and you'll want to get here before the footprints. Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes are the most accessible dunes in the park, and one of the most fun areas to explore. Open dune walking, no marked trails. Walking on sand can be tiring, especially on the way back. However, there's no shade and no clear paths. It's easy to lose your sense of direction. Just remember, sunrise is best for untouched sand and cooler temperatures. What makes it interesting is the wind constantly reshapes the dunes, so the landscape is never exactly the same twice. After the dunes, we head in the opposite direction, up into the mountains. Dante's View is about a 45-minute drive from Furnace Creek, and the elevation change here is dramatic. You're going from near sea level to over 5,000 feet. Dante's View offers panoramic views of Badwater Basin far below, over a mile lower in elevation. This is one of the best viewpoints in the entire park. Viewpoints are right near the parking area, so walking is minimal. However, it can be significantly colder and windier here than the valley floor, sometimes by 20-30 degrees. So bring a jacket, even if it's warm below. Did you know that on clear days, you can see Mount Whitney in the distance, the highest peak in the contiguous United States? creating one of the most dramatic elevation contrasts anywhere. After Dante's view, we'll head back down to Furnace Creek. This is a good time to reset. Grab water, check conditions, and prepare for the evening. Furnace Creek Visitor Center is the central hub for maps, current conditions, road closures, weather, and park updates. Don't skip this stop. You'll gain a deeper understanding of how this extreme environment formed and how people historically survived here. Quick pause for a second. If you're watching this and thinking, wow, this looks amazing, but also a little intimidating, that's completely normal. Death Valley is where planning makes all the difference. And that's exactly why we're walking through this step by step, so you can enjoy it without stress. All right, let's keep going. Stargazing. Death Valley is one of the best places in the US for stargazing. Stay after dark. With almost no light pollution, the Milky Way becomes incredibly visible, and something many people never see clearly. Just be aware that temperatures drop quickly after sunset. And don't leave too early. The sky gets darker the longer you stay. Day 3. We're starting early again. Golden Canyon is just 10 minutes from Furnace Creek, making it one of the easiest hikes to access in the park. It is known for its easy to moderate hike, mostly flat canyon, walking with some gradual elevation gain through golden rock walls. However, there is no shade and temperatures rise quickly. Avoid starting late in the day. This hike should be done early morning. The golden rock walls reflect sunlight beautifully. Next, we head just a 10 to 15-minute drive away to a completely different kind of experience. 20 Mule Canyon is a scenic one-way dirt road drive through eroded, rolling badlands. It is a drive-through experience. No hiking required. Don't skip it if you can. It is named after the 20 mule teams that hauled borax out of the valley in the 1800s. From here, we head outside the park into Nevada. Rhyolite is a well-preserved ghost town from the early 1900s gold rush. About a 45-minute drive, but it's absolutely worth it. It sits at about 3,800 feet. However, it's easy walking between ruins, so take time to explore the structures. Just remember there is no services here, so bring water. You can still see remnants of banks, homes, and even a train depot. It feels like stepping back in time. On the way back, stop at Harmony Borax Works. It's a quick stop, but it ties everything together historically. Elevation and 190 feet with minimal shade. Very short walk with interpretive signs. Try not to skip this stop if you can. This is where the famous 20 Mule Team borax operations began. It is a key part of Death Valley's history. Safety tips. Remember, there is no public transportation, no ride shares inside the park. Keep gas tank full. Never hike midday in warm months. Respect flash flood warnings. And don't feed wildlife. Death Valley is beautiful, but it demands respect. Now, I am curious. Are you thinking of taking a national park trips like this? Let me know in the comments. And consider subscribing. We focus on helping you travel smarter. See you in the next video.